Alright, welcome back to my Sorare journey. This is episode 24 and this week the big news is a £1,000 rebuild of the club. Alright, it's not quite a rebuild, we're just bringing in some big names. I want to make it a bit more interactive, see what you would do. Beyond that, we're just going to talk on the state of affairs of Sorare as a game, a bit of my thoughts on how we can improve it going forward. And then finally, I'll of course do a little update video on how I'm doing, my teams I've put out, my rewards that I got and show you all the rest of it. The reason that's going to be at the end of this video is that I just feel it's getting a bit stale. Like when you come to my channel, I want you to be entertained, or I want you to learn something. And even for people that I really like watching their videos on Sorare, I'm getting this like repetitiveness where it's like, right, I know the kind of lineups you're going to be putting out. I know you're getting a kind of middle of the tier road. Middle of the road tier reward, it doesn't really encourage me to click on it, and that's something I want to avoid on my channel. So if you are feeling the same about maybe not my channel but the Sorare content in general where it's a bit repetitive, let me know. Or is it just me, is it something in my head? But besides that, I guess we'll just get right into it. So yeah. Alright, so you can see on screen here that I have an ETH balance of 0.375, which equates to about £1,200 sterling, which I can spend to improve my club. You're probably wondering where that money come from, so I did have a little bit of a balance last time, but we had to get rid of some of the kind of legacy players at the club. So Victor Wanyama, obviously I love. I just thought obviously the MLS is finished now, he's not playing any more games. When he comes back, will I need an MLS team in the Rare Division? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping there'll be a division between D4 and D5, limited pro, where I can basically play and I won't need as many rare players, so I can offload some of them that are there. I thought he was a reasonable price considering he's not going to play for 2 or 3 months. Song Min Koo, so Niftio, friend of the channel, said, look, these are the 2 last market prices. I'm going to offer you slightly above that. Do you want to do it? I wasn't actually looking to sell Song, but I thought, look, they've got a long break coming up. Same reasoning. Am I going to need as many players that are rare? Hopefully not. Win-win for both of us. I'll let him go. Hopefully I'll get him back closer to the time because I really think he's a great player who's undervalued. He's not playing too well at the Gion Buck after a transfer, but he can come into good form, especially with a new season ahead of him. Ben Yedder, I kind of swapped him out, so overall I just thought he's not nailed enough to be in my team. He's not going to beat Messi or Vinicius Jr. to the Champion Europe spot, and then I can kind of play about with the Global All-Star team. So you'll see who I've brought in. And then finally, Philip Con. So wasn't going to sell Philip, but I'm constantly monitoring the price of my players, and I saw he'd really shot up for a goalkeeper in the under-23s, and I was like, yes, he's scoring well, but that 3-month break for Salzburg, I was just going to hold him through that break, and then I thought, it's probably not worth it. I can probably flip into someone where I can have their utility. By the time he comes back, maybe I can flip back to Philip Con, who's going to have more games in a shorter condensed period of time. But overall, I'm happy to let them all go. So yeah, what's the plan? Currently, we've actually already picked up one of the players. It was the person I swapped for Ben Yedder, and that was Jeremy Doku. I really think Dooku's going to be a good on the scoring metrics because he takes on a lot of people. He reminds me of Vinicius Jr. He's a lot younger, obviously. His potential is a lot bigger, and extra utility in the under-23s league. I actually think he'll score similar to Ben Yedder because obviously Ben Yedder's not a nailed starter, and I'm hoping Dooku can be. And they both have European football, so near enough a straight swap. I did have to pay a little bit extra ETH because he's so young, but look, as much as my move into D5 was for what I thought was a profitable move, I also just like and enjoying the game, and I like picking up young prospects that I can watch for the rest of their career and be like, look, I spotted him when he was 19 playing for Rennes. So yeah, it's all a bit of fun, and I'm really pleased with not that swap, but I sold one player and instantly bought another, so that's how that went. Diego Costa was also bought just for the community team because we needed a striker, and yeah, he's hit the ground running, so that's good. Right, so now you've seen where the money comes from. Let's see where we need to put that money. So firstly, obviously with Philip Con gone, we need an under-23s goalkeeper. That's going to take up probably a substantial amount of the budget. Besides that, I think the team's looking pretty strong. It can probably compete with those Ajax and Feyenoord stacks. Noah Lang is someone I don't really want in my team anymore. He was one of those 1-week pickups that I've struggled to sell, and now his price is dropping, and he's a bit undervalued in my eyes. I'm going to hold on to him until he has a good performance. But having a player like that, nothing wrong with that. Champion Europe, probably my strongest team. I think it's pretty much set, doesn't need much improvement. My only thought is kind of if I got a strong player in Champion Europe player, maybe one that stacks in Madrid or PSG, I can drop Vinicius down to the under-23s and improve it further. And then finally we have the All-Star team. So if you saw on Twitter, I was actually complaining about stacks. I kind of think they don't really add much to the game. I feel like if we changed it, it could improve the game. I'll talk on that a little bit later. But one way to kind of demonstrate that is a bit of experience of my own. So, you know, Palacios doesn't really start. So if we chuck in someone like Wurtz here, add Doku in, just because I can't really think of any Bayer Leverkusen players that are that strong, swap either, you know, between Lang, Doku and Vinicius Jr., who's ever got a decent fixture that week. I really think that would be quite a successful team. So we can see how that does, see what Stack is actually like with kind of first-hand experience. And then where we need a lot of improvement is obviously Rare All-Star D4. Right, so this is typically how my All-Star Pro or my D4 team looks. And, you know, the biggest issues are we're missing a midfielder and an attacker, or an extra card, sorry. The reason for that is that the two players that currently play there play in the K-League in Korea, and that's coming to an end. So, you know, we need to act quickly, but not immediately, if that makes sense. And adding to that debacle, only one of my players is European football. So do you go out and spend less and just focus on the weekend fixtures? Or do you spend slightly more and look for someone that's going to hit, you know, 50s and 40s every week and play both the midweek and the weekend fixture? It's a bit of a tricky one. And what I'm actually looking at doing, and I want you to know whether you do the same, is that Abdul Nuruddin has moved up to about 0.4, probably about £1,300 or £200. And what that means is that I could ship him, because under 23s goalkeepers are coming even more in demand as there's injuries and rotations, and just put in a common goalkeeper. And then on top of that, I could still sell Vertonghen. And the reason for that is I'm looking to build. I'm thinking for the future, and I'm thinking if there is a mixed team between D4 and D5 of limited and rare cards where you need 3 limiteds and 2 rares, if I have 2 ready set to go Champion Europe solid scorers, then I can really start being in a position where I could, you know, go out and compete for podiums right from the jump. I know it's probably next year we're looking at, but in the meantime, they'd still be doing the exactly same job as everyone else. I'd probably just spent a little bit more, which I can always earn back from better scores anyway. So overall, I would actually look to ship Vertonghen as well, whilst he's on a bit of a price rise because it's midweeks and people need, you know, players that will play. And then I can just go for a full team. But, you know, do I go for them weekend fixtures? And then looking at Mawani, he's under 23s. He's got fixed supply because his new season card isn't being minted. And it's like, do I just get rid of the whole team and rebuild? But I don't want to go under the value on them. I want to get fair value for all of them. So it could be a complete D4 rebuild. But yeah, let me know how you'd do it. And overall, let's look at who we're looking at. So we have gone window shopping firstly. When you get money in your account, you want to go and get your favourite players, and Erling Haaland is one of them. He's injured, so I think he's good value. You know, one of the best metrics for me is how does he compare to his rare price in terms of limited. And if you look at it, you know, 5.3 compared to 4.6, he's less than 10%, but obviously he's a high-end player. He's not playing at the moment. Additionally, one other key factor that I haven't considered enough recently is how far through the mint are they? So here, they're 11 of 100. So, you know, 11%. Here, they're 93 of 1,000, so 9.3%. You know, they need to mint more limited cards to catch up with the rare cards. So, to be honest, they're pretty similar in this equation, but just keep in mind there will be more limiteds coming, which will push the price down. I try and base my variations on rare price. The reason for that is it's a mature market. There's more buyers on that market at the moment. So, I think that's the best strategy. And in terms of Haaland himself, he's an absolute top scorer, a baller, might get a move to Premier League, which just pushes price up. Probably the most collectible card there is right now. And I enjoy watching him. He's a good laugh. So that's someone I'm considering. But, you know, spending the whole budget on one player, I would definitely need to sell Nuruddin then, because I'd be short in my D4 team. And I think I'm getting carried away. But let me know if you pick up Haaland. Right, so next up for consideration we have Florian Wurtz, obviously one of the best young prospects in the world. Getting in the Bayer Leverkusen team and being kind of the key pinnacle of it at 18 says a lot for his long-term kind of potential. I think in terms of his price, he's slightly above his last his rare price, especially if you look at the last sold. So you can see one here. The last one actually went for 0.91. So that's kind of apprehensive why I wouldn't want to get him. But like I said before, I kind of want to complete the Bayer Leverkusen stack just to get a bit more knowledge on it, see how overpowered, underpowered it is, how it performs in general really, just waiting for one team to score big. So he's looking for consideration. The issue being, you know, he has a forward card, and I would need to go off the midfielder card because I've got a lot of good forwards already, and that's quite rare. The only one here is almost double the market price, which I'm just not willing to do. So after that, we have Carlos Soler. I remember when I was playing in the rare division how strong this guy was, such a good performer. Probably doesn't truly reflect that on his averages just because he's just back from an injury. But overall, he's a good kind of more budget option. He's not completely a budget choice, but he's slightly cheaper than the other individuals, and yeah, less than 10% of his rare price. As I said, a great marker for me of where we want to be. Issues, his supply, so he's only minted 20 because he was injured and he was a new card that wasn't being minted. There is a lot to go. So if you can consider limited prices at like a downward slope because of how much supply there is, that you've got to win more rewards than they go down in price by, it's going to be a bit more risky with a player that hasn't got that many mints. But he's also he gives you more diversification where, you know, not many people will have him. So if he does score big, you're kind of unique in that respect. Whereas if you say like an Ajax player scores big, I think everyone on the platform has an Ajax player, except for me. And then also we have Marco Verratti. So what my actual thinking is here is he is going to be the perfect choice, as could Sorare, to be fair. He could be the perfect choice for someone that slots in at that Champion Europe D4, so he plays for my Thresholds team, but next year, if they do make that change, he could slot in to play in the kind of mixed D3, D4, we'll call it D4.5, the Limited Pro League, if they bring it out. So I think that would be really fun. I like Verratti. I think he's a great player. I think his price is lower than it should be because he's just back from an injury. He played the last game, so you can see here. Risks, he is quite injury prone, we know that. And then overall, you're spending, you know, $1,500, probably about, it's basically on my budget, isn't it? A bit more than that. It's probably £1,300 on a player for Thresholds with a long-term prospect. So maybe it's just better to focus on Thresholds for now and deal with Champion Europe and Merge Division if it ever happens. And then we have the Goalkeeper Debacle. So I've put these in kind of price tier. It's not often I do that, but it lets me bring to the forefront of who I've sold. So I sold Con at 0.12, so just above that. If I wanted to instantly swap him, I'd probably get Kobel, who plays European football for Dortmund. I just don't think Dortmund are that strong defensively, so it kind of puts me off. Van der Vaart is one of the players you're probably thinking, right, that's who you're going to go after. 19, got years of utility. You believe in Sorare long term. You've got Wurtz. You wanting to get Wurtz. You've got Dooku and Camavinga. You've got all the young players. Surely it's for Van der Vaart. I just think he's scoring so low at the moment where I really don't want to put that risk. I feel like he's next to get dropped by his team because he is, you know, young and they might give someone else a go. And then I was looking at Costa. I was like, right, the perfect choice. European football, strong team. He's got 2 years in the under-23s division, and his price was on just a bit of a tear. It's getting closer to these two guys. And if you look at these two guys, the key differential is that they have European football, but they have national team football as well. And in terms of who I'd go for between these three, it would obviously be Donnarumma. I love Donnarumma. I think he's by far the best keeper. And the key thing is he's at the best team he can be at. No one is gonna, you know, for example, these two below might get a move and be second choice or be a bit more rotational, and that would really dampen the value. So long term, Donnarumma is the best option. Problem being, do I want to spend, you know, 600 quid on a goalkeeper that is currently rotational? They're still flipping between Navas, and that's what I've got to weigh up. I think I'm leaning towards Donnarumma, but it's more because I like him. You know, I really enjoyed him in the Euros. I really thought he's a sick player for AC Milan last year. He's just a kind of cool guy, a bit like Haaland, where it's like, I just want him, and I can afford him, so I might go get him. The alternative option is to get two players, so I haven't had a look here, but basically get two for the price of one, where you can rotate each week who's the best keeper, but the problem is going to be finding someone that plays the European weeks, so we'll look to see who we can pick up a bargain on and get back to you, but leaning towards Donnarumma at this moment. We have a live offer here, so let's see who's offered us what. He's offered us 0.129 for Vertonghen. Okay, so I've never actually had a live offer, so let's see how I'd go about it. So if you look at it and you see Vertonghen, like I said, he's actually someone I'm looking to get rid of. I haven't got a team for the midweek fixtures, so it wouldn't really bother me, but it'd help someone else. I'm the lowest on the market at 0.15, and he's up for that price. So what I would do as a typical example is I'd look up Vertonghen's price, I'd see what he sold for at rare. So he's on a price tier, he's gone from 110 to 123 to 130. I think the guy offered me, what is it, 123? So for me, although I want to get rid of him, I said I'm not going to get rid of him for cheap, and I think this is just below where I want to do. I typically reject the first offers if they're not reasonable anyway, because I think most people will go up. So I'll reject this for now, and let's see if he comes back with a better offer. But yeah, something new to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Alright, so we got another live over here, so I did it in the background and rejected it. It was below the combined price of them, so I can hold on for a little bit more because obviously I've got a big gallery, and if I need to sit on them all season, I can. Negotiate with someone else for a Vertonghen deal. He's offered 0.13, so we'll see if he comes back to my price of 0.133. It's really kind of pedantic, but, you know, I am quite sharp with my prices. Like, you know, I'm happy enough to hold on to anyone. You know, I just want the right price. So I'm not selling this at the last sold, which is 0.13, because mine's got a better XP bonus. He's been in the club for a while. He's a bit of a club icon for me. So yeah, I'm happy to hold on to him if I need to. In terms of people we're looking at buying, actually forgot to consider Neymar, who's definitely someone I'm looking at. In terms of his price, just below the 10%, pretty much equal, exactly where you want to be for a limited card. And if you look at his price compared to, you can already see I started typing here, Lewandowski, who I think are going to score pretty similar over the whole season. It's just right now PSG aren't playing that well. But the big thing for me, why I'm trying to get PSG involved, is that potentially Pochettino is on his way out to Man United and they're bringing in Zidane. And that, I think, would just rocket the team. I really think Poch hasn't stepped up to, you know, what I think should be the best team potentially ever in history, with Neymar, Mbappe and Messi as a front three. And don't even get me started on the rest of the team. So that's why I want to get in early, before any potential price rise, before any manager changes. And even if they didn't, if everything stays the same, they are still scoring so well. They are such good players. Like, everything's ticking off. So we already have news then. Can you spot it? Gianluigi Donnarumma has arrived. While I'm making this video, someone has gone and accepted kind of a reasonable offer from him. It was 0.185, which I'm not sure what it equates to actually in sterling. I'll take a look in a second. But, you know, it's below his last average. If you look at his rare price, his last auction was 0.19. And then if you go to the limiteds, for me to get him for 185, it's below 10%. It's right in that perfect region. I got him for 185. On the same day, someone got him an auction for 208. Look, I'm happy with the decision. I know the risks of it. He could be rotational. He might not even play this midweek game. So I just love the big man. And look at the years of utility I've got him. He's the best up-and-coming goalkeeper in the world, bar none. So yeah, over the moon with that. It's all kicking off while I'm making the video. The guys made the offer of 0.133 ETH, so above the last sold. I've accepted it. Vertonghen is gone, and I'm going to get a bit emotional here. You might not understand why, but Vertonghen has been in the club since April this year. That is the longest player I've held since then. And I've told you so much about this deal, but I've never actually shown it on the channel. This is what has made the channel. This was the breaking moment for me, right? I overspent on this goalkeeper on auction. I got a good deal for him, but I was saying I'm outside of my kind of comfort zone, how much money I wanted to put in. But it was such a good deal that I literally got him on auction. I fist pumped, I ran around the room, I was so happy. I left him up on a big price, almost double what I got him for like a couple of days, and someone offered me free cards. And normally if someone offers you free cards for your one card, you're like, oh, get out of here, mate, I'm not gonna need all of these cards. But I literally had, you know, no rare cards. Zielinski, unreal scorer. Vertonghen was like in and out of the team, and Gustavo just wasn't playing. And now we look back at this and you think Zielinski, one of the best scorers there was. Gustavo's now starting for the Gionbank over like the player I bought for £500, and Jan Vertonghen is nailed his place in Benfica and puts up unbelievable scores. Whilst Park Bayong, I don't even think he's playing for Suwon City anymore. So an unbelievable deal for me, but at the time it was obviously a lot fairer. But it just brings back all the nostalgia of when I was really struggling. I had no money to spend on my team, and now I've got like £1,000 I can just spend, and I think that's only 10% of like kind of my complete budget on the game. So yeah, it's good to look back sometimes, but you can't really get caught up on the nostalgia of having these older cards. I mean, I know it's only April, but like I started in March. So he's gone, and Muani's my second longest serving player at the club, and he's on the transfer list. So we're ruthless now. We are the D5 whale. We are jumping in there, getting all the big dogs, and it's been an absolutely incredibly long episode, and it's going to continue a little longer because we are on to the SO5 results. So Omar Solé let me down in the All-Star Limited. That's pretty much it. So All-Star Limited did really well this week. A big shout out to Rafiki MS. He basically let me loan this guy for the week just so I could guarantee to make the threshold. So that was very nice of him. And overall, so close to my first reward again. If I could just pick a captain. So I was only 15 points off. So yeah, overall, really good result. I get the £70, so yeah, you can't complain with £70 twice a week if you can get it, or at least once a week. And then Champion America, it looks like we've finally done it. The community team is going to win something. I actually think it might win something. It's not the close of the deadline yet, but I can finally send out to this community, this week's community winner, or this month's community winner, their award once we get it. So big result for the team. Champion Europe, the front three, absolutely firing on all cylinders. 100 from the postman. He always delivers. If you haven't got him already, what are you doing? He's going up in value all the time. Messi's finally back scoring, and Vinicius, wow. Even if he doesn't score well, I just enjoy what he does. Like, he's rainbow flicking people against Argentina. It was unreal. This was obviously a Real Madrid game, but just liking it. And then Sevilla. I might burn that scarf I got. Let me down. But no, did they really? Well, I'm getting a tier 2. I'm going 36th when everyone else's scores are going up. I'm really happy with that. I'm not going to wait and see what we would get in rewards terms. It's probably not big enough, but you can wait and see what we get in the next episode. I'll show it who we have. Under 23s. I played Sorare twice. I was so certain he'd play, but I think they've saved him for the Champions League. I still think he's a good long-term pick. If he doesn't play in the Champions League, it's panic stations. I might need to sell for a loss. And Noah Lang, getting tired of. Weekly challenge was pretty boring. So the only thing I will say is that if you've been following the channel, you know this team goes to, it's the division winner in America. All of my American rewards basically get given away in a giveaway each month. And I'm actually thinking of stopping that. This is such a long video now. I'll share my plans. I wasn't planning on it, but I want to hear your thoughts because it's going to cost me a lot of money and I think it could work long term. So basically, the issue with Sorare is it's not very streamable, it's not very interactive, right? I'm running this thing and I'm just hoping the one guy that's watching is liking it and all of you watching along are enjoying and cheering on to win. But the problem is you don't really know who I've selected. It's really hard to interact. So I'm going to stop doing it, but I still want to give back to people that watch the videos, and I've got this big idea that basically I want to make my own NFTs, get them officially done by the designer. I'll mint them all myself and just distribute them to kind of people that interact with the channel or people that, you know, complete certain tasks, and they won't be worth anything. They'll just be whatever I minted them for. You can sell them on if you want, but you know, I doubt anyone would buy them. And then basically if you collect like a certain bundle, so there'll be, you know, players that have gone through all of the My Sorare journey, like Vertonghen might be one, Muani might be one. And then if you collect, like if you are the first collect, say 5 of them, then you'll get a cash reward, then you'll get a player reward, then you'll get this experience, that experience. I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's what I'm planning. And you know, different ways to acquire them will be, I'll do a draw every week and we'll play 1v1, Sorare Mega, whoever gets the highest score. If you beat me, you get the NFT. If you don't, I'll keep it. You know, maybe I'll sell like 5 of them to make up the costs or something. I don't know. But the whole point of it is I'll take all the costs on board. I'll just distribute NFTs to everyone in their wallets. Like I said, it's more interactive. It gets people more interested. There'll be a longer term vision where like they're basically collectibles. So if you get 5 of the certain set, you'll get this. If you get 5, you get 10 of this set, you get this. That's kind of how the idea will work. Let me know what you think of it. It could be an absolute rubbish idea. And if you do think it's rubbish, please let me know. I'm an honest guy myself, so I appreciate honest feedback, and it'd probably save me a lot of money. But I mean, I think it's all going to matter to how well they're made. And like I said, I'm looking to get an actual graphic designer to do it. So it's going to be a little bit expensive, but I'm enjoying my time on here. Obviously get money from the referrals I get. So if you do, you know, like the channel, if you've never played Sorare, sign up. The link will be in the description. It helps everyone. So yeah, that's overall it. The final point I did want to touch on was basically the state of Sorare right now, and I think it's probably been a long enough video where I'll leave it for now and just say, if you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe. We got over 1,000 views on the last video, and that was absolutely unbelievable because, like I said, I haven't got as much time as I'd want to make these videos right now, so putting them out and getting that kind of respect and viewing and everyone loving it, really appreciate that. So feedback as much as you can on the issues I've touched on here, the NFT project, what you would do with the money, and is kind of Sorare content getting a bit repetitive for you? Does it need to be a bit more interactive, especially the game itself, maybe side games? All of that, all the best. Thanks a lot. Cheers.